It's 6:30 p.m., folks. Welcome to Polkas After Dark. Rest in peace, little John Nelevenko. This show is dedicated to you, buddy. It's one of your Pennsylvania favorites. We're going to be talking live shortly with Rich Benkowski.
All right, quiet on the set.
Shh, listen.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's start the party.
Broadcasting around the world. Polkas After Dark. This is your number one internet station. The music you love right here, right now. Polkas After Dark. It's another live broadcast. Special edition. Now your hosts, Rob and Jerry.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy seeing us on a Tuesday night, isn't it, kids?
Yep.
Sure, yeah. It's crazy for us to be doing this. We both worked today, and it's crazy. But, hey, we got some nice people in here already. We want to say hello to Ashley Torres. She is here. Michelle Trowbridge is here as well. Chris Tansky, our Buffalo Polka Booster president. David Desalaries is here. Hello to you, David. Jill Rich is here. Let's see here. Aaron Soka. Hello to you, Aaron. Wow, all the way out in Minnesota, in Wisconsin. I'm getting confused here.
We also have Stephen Kalinsky from Berlin, Connecticut. He says it's a good hot evening over there.
Yes.
And we've got Bobby Calvert hanging out with us so far, as well as a few others, just not in the chat.
Okay, gotcha. Hey, you guys are scratching your head saying, so why are these kids on a Tuesday? Well, we made a couple of calls, and we were able to talk back and forth with Mr. Rich Benkowski. For those of you that don't remember Rich, well, you've been hiding under a rock for the last 30 years. But we are going to have a lot of fun here, that is for sure. Richie, of course, and Chris Curtis is on. Hello to you, Chris. He remembers Rich Benkowski from the old TBC days. And Rich, of course, was the originator of the TBC band. We've got some great photos thanks to his daughter, Kristen. Also, our very, very, very good friend and personal photographer, Les Kapuscinski. He was sending some stuff over this evening. So thank you again, Les, for all that you do for Polkas After Dark. We weren't expecting that. I'm going to tell you that right now, but it's always greatly appreciated. Folks, we want to let you know something here. Rich Benkowski didn't actually start out with TBC, nor did he start out with Bruno Mikos and the Harmony Stars. He started out with Dave and Jan Zakowski with the spectacular polka airs, and here's a tune that'll bring back some memories for you, Calvert, for sure.
Because you're sweet as you can be. You mean the world to me. Because the things you do and say enrich my life from day to day. Because you're such a special part of all that's dearest to my heart. You're all my dreams come true. I'll always be in love with you. That's the way, baby. Don't live it up, yes, Because you're sweet as you can be. You mean the world to me. Because the things you do and say enrich my life from day to day. Because you're such a special part of all that's dearest to my heart. You're all my dreams come true. I'll always be in love with you. Here we go, girl, just for you.
Yeah, that does bring back some memories, doesn't there, Mr. Dave Benkowski? Dave Benkowski from the old Wham records and, of course, WRS. But, wow, you know, he started that off with his brother back in the, I want to say the early 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead, you've got something?
Yeah, Steven said he's shutting off his phone and putting the television on. Our show.
What's that?
He's putting us on the TV.
Oh, who's that?
Steven Kalinsky.
Oh, okay. All right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's always fun, too, if you can do that with YouTube.
Sorry, I didn't freshen my makeup. That might be scary for him to put it on the TV.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hey, so let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit as Mr. Rich Benkowski moved up in the polka world. Here is a song by Bruno Mikos, and it's featuring the clarinet workings of Mr. Bobby Calvert.
Nice.
This song was the Song of the Year by the United States Polka Association, and if memory serves me correctly, I want to say 1979. Mr. Calvert, you would probably know that, or more or less Dave Benkowski might know that too. But here's one called Back to Chicago.
Travel this country all around, looking for a polka sound, from way up west up to the Atlantic shore. I heard good music everywhere, Connecticut and Delaware, and I keep searching round for something more. In Michigan, the polka beat really moved my dancing feet. A good time I did have in Ohio. Of all the sounds that I have tried, the ones that really satisfied, good old country tunes from Chicago. Chicago, Chicago, polka tunes from Chicago. Make me happy, make me smile, forget my troubles for a while. Chicago, Chicago, polka tunes from Chicago are the happy, snappy sounds I wanna hear. cantina every place, accompanied by the drums and bass. Together can't be beat, you will agree. Just one more journey will I make. Enjoyed myself, make no mistake. The polka sounds are everywhere you go. But I can tell you just for me, there's just one place I wanna be. I'm going back to good old Chicago. Chicago, Chicago, polka tunes from Chicago. Make me happy, make me smile, forget my troubles for a while. Chicago, Chicago, polka tunes from Chicago are the happy, snappy sounds I wanna hear.
Oh, yeah, there's one by Bruno Mikos, and since we've got Bobby Calvert here, Jerry, we got to do this. Oh yeah, doing it up right here. Polkas After Dark. You're scratching your head saying, why are these people on tonight? Well, the reason that we're on tonight is because, yes, we want to, and you guys are sticking around, so this is kind of cool. We've got a bunch of people watching us over there in YouTube, but not very many chatters, and we've got some chatters over here over in Facebook. Hey, we're going to say hello to Linda Chipchak Merwin, also to Kayla Marie. She is on. Once again, Chris Curtis and Sandy Marcia Rocca Moscato.
She said she was watering her plants. That's why she was late.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, they're
well,
thirsty
too. The plants need it. Yeah, and That's exactly what Chris said, too. The plants are really thirsty. Hey, Marty Olshansky is joining us tonight. Thank you so much. We're going to probably be talking a little bit, no, a lot, about the Manaca PA Club. Bobby Calvert remembers that. Also, Eddie Pilarge. I think Eddie and Marie are tuned in. If they're not over here on Facebook, they're definitely tuned in over there in YouTube. Okay, so now you're scratching your head saying, where do we go from here? Well, I think what we're going to do is bring up a Brass Connection song. It's not the first song that they recorded, but it's definitely a very awesome tune. And here's one called You Are My Sweetheart Now. Good evening to Linda Vishnesky out there in Indiana.
You are my sweetheart now. You are my baby doll. You are the one that I waited for. Love me forever. We'll be together from now until the end of time. Love me forever. We'll be together from now until the end of time. Tyś moja kochanka, tyś moja laleczka, usta twoje jak wino słodkie. Tyś moje kochanie, prawdy ja ci mówię, będziesz moją na zawsze dziewczę. Tyś moja kochanie, prawdy ja ci mówię, będziesz moją na zawsze dziewczę. Grajcie, muzykancie, hej! You are my sweetheart now. You are my baby doll. Your lips are red and sweeter than wine. You are my baby. I don't mean baby. From now until the end of time. You are my baby. I don't mean baby. From now until the end of time. Tyś moja kochanka, tyś moja laleczka, usta twoje jak wino słodkie. Tyś moja kochanie, prawdy ja ci mówię, będziesz moją na zawsze dziewczę. Tyś moja kochanie, prawdy ja ci mówię, będziesz moją na zawsze dziewczę.
You know, it's kind of funny, Jerry, because we both wear earbuds. Mm-hmm. I wear the left side. I think, do you wear
I wear the left.
But do you have the black or the red? Because the red is the right channel.
Yeah, black.
Okay, all right.
I had to look.
all I heard was the box push. Yeah, the box push, which is like, what, did he have springs on his fingers or what? Hey, we are going to be talking live in just a few more moments with Rich Benkowski, the originator, the creator of the TBC band, The Brass Connection, back in the 70s. We want to say hi to Vanessa Nimchuk. Nimchuk, hello to you. Also, Greg Anthony is here. Linda Armstrong Maurer, good evening. Stephanie Rose Putt, hello to you, Stephanie. And we also have Linda Gaylor on. Hey, let's bring up a song right now by TBC. Here's one that was a controversial song. Here's one called The Devil and Jerry Darlak.
The devil went to Chicago. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind. He was willing to make a deal. When he come across this young boy squeezing the box and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a bar stool and said, boy, let me tell you what. I guess you didn't know it, but I play concertina too. And if you care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now you play a pretty good box, boy, but give the devil his due. I got a box of gold against your soul, cause I think I'm better than you. Now the boy said, my name's Jerry, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet, you're gonna regret, cause I'm the best that's ever been. Come on, Jerry, squeeze that box and push those buttons hard. All hell's broke loose in Chicago town, and the devil deals a card. And if you win, you get this shiny box that's made of gold. And if you lose, the devil gets your soul. Up his case and he said, I'll start this show. And fire flew from his fingertips as he squeezed that golden box. He pulled that box apart so hard that it made an evil hiss. And when his band of demons joined in, it sounded something like this. Well, you're pretty good, old son, but sit down in that chair right there and let me show you how it's done. Bowed his head because he knew that he'd been beat, and he laid that golden box on the ground at Jerry's feet. Jerry said, devil, just come on back if you ever want to try again, cause I've told you once, you son of a gun, I'm the best that's ever been. Come on, Jerry, squeeze that box and push those buttons hard. All hell's broke loose in Chicago town, and the devil deals a card. And if you win, you get this shiny box that's made of gold. And if you lose, the devil gets your soul.
That is it, The Devil and Jerry Darlak. The Brass Connection, a controversial song, but we're going to be chatting with Rich. Oh, in just a few more minutes, we've got one more tune that we want to play before we bring him on. It's a song you guys hear a lot by Freeze Dried, which I didn't even know the guy recorded this with Freeze Dried. Here's one called Sea Cruise. yeah, that's a little bit of freeze-dried, and you guys know we love playing freeze-dried stuff right here. It's a shame that band is no longer around because, boy, talk about the creativity. But, you know, the guy that we're going to be talking to right now was creative in his own way, and we are going to say hello right now to let's see, do I have... There we are. I do have Rich on here. Rich, can you hear me? Hey, Rich, can you hear me? Okay, let me try something else here. And I am going to do. Hey, Rich, are you there? I hope I didn't lose him.
Yeah.
Let me check one more thing here. And Rich, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
There we
How you
go.
doing?
See, we're making a cell phone commercial. I'm not going to say
Can you
who
hear me
it
now?
Yeah,
Can you hear me
I'm not
now?
going to say who it is.
Exactly.
Rich, I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for you taking the time to hang out with us on a Tuesday evening. We know you're a busy guy. You're retired, aren't you, or semi-retired?
I am fully retired,
Retired.
right now. I had a wonderful career with as a pipe fitter and a service tech, and did a lot of teaching in that time, and I appreciated it. It was a blessing to be able to do that. But now it's family time. It's time spent for Barb and I to travel, and also for the grandkids.
Good for you guys. That is great. That really is. Now, I also usually start out a broadcast, Rich, by asking the question of how old were you when you heard your first polka? But we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to ask the infamous question, where the hell have you been?
Where have I been? I don't know. That's an interesting one. We have been in doing other endeavors. In the last part of my career, I did travel a lot. So that kind of took me out of the circuit.
Okay.
But we also, Barb and I have also kept in touch with the circuit through a couple of the local dances, and also going to Seven Springs and Frankenmuth to get our dose of polkas and enjoyment. But
Beautiful.
I haven't played on stage since 2016.
2016. And who was that with? Was that with Freeze Dried?
That would have been with the IPA tribute band up in
Okay.
New London.
That's right. Okay, I gotcha. Because I know that I've seen you perform. You did perform at Frankenmuth with Freeze Dried, I believe. You played concertina with them. And
Yes.
I am going to ask this infamous question. How old were you when you first heard your first polka?
I would have been very young, because the Sunday mornings was polka time, where my father would play Little Wally albums on Sunday mornings without interruption from the rest of the family. That was his time to play. So
nice.
I could have been 5 or 6 years old, 7 years old. My dad bought the first concertina when I was 9. So that would have been like 1964, 65.
Wow. That is great.
Yeah.
Do you play anything else, Rich, besides concertina?
I learned music on a concertina, and for a very long time, I did not dabble with anything else. I did, Dave and I, and he'll remember this. I did have a set of drums, and Dave and I backed up one in Stephanie and Idora Park and Fedor's Grove when we were both in high school. So, and there was, just a couple of different things here and there. I think one night I remember playing piano behind Casey Traversky down in the Ohio Valley. So, things happen.
That is priceless. That is totally priceless. Hey, we've got a lot of ground to cover. And first of all, again, thank you so much for taking the time. The reason why I wanted to bring you on here, we've talked about this for years, bringing you on to a show for an interview, but what a great, great time to bring you on now, because you're going to be heading to Seven Springs for the 50th anniversary, and you're also going to be heading up the Litwin Concertina Jam session. So tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Well, it is exciting that it is the 50th anniversary of Seven Springs, and what a lifelong commitment the Blazonczyk family has made to creating a fun event and one of the greatest events, polka events, over time at Seven Springs. And this year I was honored. As Junior called about a month ago and asked me to host the jam, I was honored to do it on such an anniversary of it, but also to honor Steve Litwin. Back in 1984, a few of us got together in Steve's room, about 6 or 7 of us, and just had a little unrehearsed concertina jam. And every concertina jam since has been unrehearsed, where players that are interested and want to bring their box, we get together, we play some standards and some tunes, and there's some horn players that come out, a few people that sing, but it's informal, it's unrehearsed, and it's a lot of fun. And I am sure honored again to do it at Seven Springs on such an eventful year.
Wow. I think you had mentioned when we had a brief conversation that you maybe have a T-shirt or two, don't you, from one of those jams?
Well, back in 2003, which would have been the 20th anniversary of the jam, there was a custom by Steve Litwin to hand out Concertina Jam T-shirts.
Yeah.
And that year, on the 20th anniversary, he handed out a T-shirt that silhouetted the first group. So there was of course, Steve Litwin, myself, Butch Herman from Minnesota, Tony Kempinski, Bill Zerniak from Minnesota, and I believe, and Mary Lou was there, Wally Stanek, Bill's horn player, was also there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an eclectic group that came. But I'll bring the shirt out to the Springs to display it, because it's special to me, because over time and over all the years of attending the Concertina Jam, you don't think of it as something other than getting together with friends. But gosh, last year was the 40th Concertina Jam. When you look back at that, you think, holy cow, Steve, you really got something going for us here.
Wow. And he sure did. And we missed that guy something awful. That is
certainly.
for sure.
Yeah.
How about let's go back to the very first band that you played with after Dave Zakowski and Jan. Who was the next band that you took the stage with?
That would have been Bruno Mikas and the Harmony Stars.
Okay.
Bruno was friends and the co-worker of my father-in-law, Stanley Smoos, and my father-in-law recognized him and said, "Gee, aren't you Little Wally's horn player?" Well, they had just moved from Chicago to McDonald, Ohio. Frank Lischka was also in that band, and when they started discussing about getting other players, and it was Bill Siegel on drums, and Frank said, "Well, there's a kid that plays with polka airs I think we can use," and mentioned my name, and of course Bruno said, "Well, he's dating Stan's daughter," so there was some home cooking there, and
there you go.
As we got together, and Brian Thompson was the bass player that people would remember, and was recorded with us, but it was his brother George Thompson. That was our very first bass player with Bruno. Unfortunately, he passed at a very young age. It was very tragic. And Brian played 6-string guitar, and Frank showed him how to play some good polka bass.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you started TBC then shortly thereafter. You guys decided to vacate the premises, so to speak. But it was probably a good thing for you guys, for certain, because go ahead.
Well, collectively, there just seemed to be some clash of ideas. We did remain friends with Bruno over time. Bruno was the best man at my wedding.
Oh, is that right?
And she was in so over time, we still did remain friendly. When we would go with Bruno to watch his grandsons, Johnny's sons, play some baseball and have some dinners with them. But in 1979, we did separate and form TBC The Brass Connection. And it was a collective mindset of Frank said, gee, I just want to write songs and sing. Okay, good. You do that. Bobby says, well, I'd love to be the MC. Great. Perfect. And then I became operations manager or band leader.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Made sure that we had equipment and transportation and hotel rooms, and got to work with some great promoters over time. In fact, I just talked to one a few weeks ago. He's in his 90s now, living in Florida. Dick Yosh from Milford, Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
He was an early adopter of TBC. He gave us some nice chances up in Milford when we were just coming out of the gate. So we appreciate Dick Yosh's support early on.
Jeff and Kenny and Cindy Yosh's dad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so TBC, The Brass Connection, how did the band get their name?
Frank found a horn player at YSU. He was going to Dana School of Music, a young gentleman named Billy Kirkwood. Billy, and you did play the Devil, and that horn riff behind the vocals was Billy's idea. He said, let me just play something behind those vocals. Okay, go ahead. But it knocked our socks off in the studio. He was a young, very talented musician. He was with us for the first album, and then that was it. He had other interests in music. He helped us, with the name of the Brass Connection, unbeknownst to us in '79, because Al Gore hadn't invented the internet yet. We didn't know that there was a jazz band called the Brass Connection.
Oh, okay.
That if you would Google not TBC, but maybe the Brass Connection, you would see a lot of other faces.
Aha! And no concertina player. Interesting.
No.
Hey, my ADD is going to kick in during this whole interview, so we're going to be back and forth on a lot of things. I mentioned a gentleman by the name of Marty Olshansky.
Yes, sir.
Marty, I met down in Manaca PA Club when I was playing with Matt Fischelewski and the Polka Jets, and that was back in the early 70s. But you frequented that place as well. Was that before TBC? Was that during the Mikos days, or what was that?
That was before TBC. I don't think we ever played there with Bruno, just the polka airs we played there. But you mentioned Matt Veselewski, and he was a staple in the Valley, in the Beaver Valley.
Yep.
Matt playing at the P&A was where you went after the wedding. Was where you went when you wanted a night out.
Yes.
And Matt was in the rotation. There were a few bands, Trout Tones, Ray J, Jolly Jays, that you would see it. And Tony Olshansky was very forward-thinking, though, too. I remember seeing Alvin Tashinsky at the Manaca PA, the Ample Airs.
Oh, wow.
Marion Lunch. I mean, it wasn't just the local bands that populated the stages. And it was, at that time, going to a dance at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night wasn't unusual. It was 10 to 2.
Oh, yeah, I remember those days. That's right.
Yeah. So but for a very long time, for very many years, Manaca PA provided a lot of great entertainment to the Beaver Valley, and people traveled to get there too.
Yeah.
It was one of those spots that became known. That you would see people at Idora Park and say, hey, come down to the PA, and Mac. Oh yeah, we know where that is. We've been there. It was one of those things that was just a nice thought for all of us on our schedule.
And it was nice, too, speaking of Idora Park, Larry Walk. He is still around. We still run into him every once in a while at different festivals. I'm sure he's going to be out at Seven Springs more than likely anyhow. But get a chance to catch him. I remember playing as well as watching you guys at Idora Park in Youngstown, Ohio. What a great place that was to take the stage.
Oh my, yes. Great place and a great dance floor. That was one of those dance floors that when the band had people in sync, that floor would just have a nice little bounce to it.
Oh yeah.
Great sounding room. And Larry, for many years had two big festivals there a year, one in June, one in August. In fact, Barbara and I met in 1969 at the August Festival there. And so that's been, 69 to now. That's more than 50 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But that too was another spot in the schedule. No matter if you were playing there or not, if you were had the date open on those two, either Sunday, you made sure you get to Idora Park because it was always some good entertainment.
Oh yeah, and again, not only that, the great entertainment, but it was also just the place to go for fun. I remember, and I talk about this a lot because Jerry and I have been fortunate to have a lot of people watch us during COVID. That's kind of when we first got our start and our feet wet doing live broadcasts. But oddly enough, who decides to pounce in on Facebook is not one, not two, but three of the Curtis family. Tina, Loretta, and of course Chris. Now everybody remembers little Chris. He was the one that was dancing with all the girls. Everybody wanted to dance with Chris, and he would just, he was dressed to the nines. I think I've mentioned this before. Always had black dress slacks on or white dress slacks, depending on what his attire was, but always had a gal on his arm dancing. And it was nice to be able to meet those folks. And I think even Tina, let's see, did Tina date a Brian for a while? The bass player for TBC?
They were a couple for a while, but the Curtis family was another family that you can always count on to be at the big dances and the little dances.
That's right.
Supported a lot of the local bands, and our heart goes out to Tina. We hope she's doing well, and Barb and I, miss her. We do see Loretta at a dance from time to time when we do get out locally.
Yeah.
But it's good to hear the Curtises are still interested, but boy, the Curtis family for decades have always supported polka music and the polka bands.
And Tony Curtis, I remember the time that I met him. I had to laugh about it because I was playing with Matt Fescheleski and the Polka Jets. He says, hey, come on over to the table. This was over at Idora Park. He says, when you're done, come on over to the table and have some food, because everybody used to bring, booze, food, the whole 9 yards there.
Sure.
Well, the guy comes up and says, hi, my name's Tony Curtis. And I looked at him and I snickered and I said, yeah, sure you are. Because I knew Tony Curtis, the actor, from my grandmother's days. Oh. And but Tony and I got to be some amazingly great friends, just as you and everybody in the polka world. I mean, when Tony passed away, we lost somebody great as well. But I want to expand on more of the Manaca PA Club. Hey, how about Eerie Polka Days with Tony
Benkowski?
Yeah,
sure.
Tony and Nancy. Yeah, and you guys used to play that too.
We did. That festival was a little unique in that there were a lot of bands there. I remember that there was much cooperation from the bands because you had 30 minutes on and 6 hours off, and then you played 30 minutes again. So the stage was Grand Central Polka Station.
That's right.
For bands getting on and off. But you know what? That was part of the flavor of Eerie Polka Days. And I'm sure it made it fun for the fans because they saw a lot of different bands from Buffalo and Detroit and Pittsburgh, Cleveland. So, Tony created a unique environment for both the fans and the bands at that time.
Yeah. We have a good friend of yours, too, here in the chat room, Mr. Eddie Pilarz. You remember Eddie. And
oh, my goodness, yes.
Yeah. And, it's funny because I posted that we were going to be bringing you on. And, Eddie posted something. He says, holy smokes. And I said, yeah, well, you know what? My first question is going to be not, how old were you when you heard your first polka, but where the hell have you been? And, it's, and he said that big smile up and everything. We've got Evan Bozzarelli, which is the son of Vinny Bozzarelli, and Vinny tunes in once in a while. Also, let's see, Jimmy Maui Weber, he tunes us in once in a while. I don't know if he's in the chat room today on either location, because I'm really not paying too much attention to that. But let's get back to the recordings of TBC. How many records, and gosh, it was vinyl back then. How many records did you guys put out just with TBC alone?
At that time, we put 6 albums out. Each album had some different flavor to it, because the musicians, of course, changed from album to album. Mm-hmm. And one thing we always strive for, we kind of use the Chuck Noll mindset of get the best available athlete. And whenever we did have an opening on stage, we would look for the best available musician who would be interested in traveling with us. But also, we never wanted to stifle anybody's creativity. We didn't want anybody to come in and say, hey, we recorded Melodrama like this, and you got to play it like that. No. Yeah. If we call a tune that somebody else recorded, just play what you need to play. We're gonna ask you to play to be you. Yeah. And it was that simple, through all of that. So that gave us opportunities through the 6 recordings to sound different maybe in the rhythm, different in maybe in the horns, or the harmonies, and especially the vocals. Those change over time, because Frank and Bobby and Brian enjoyed doing a lot of harmonies. Mike Evarn did some harmonies when he came in. Certainly when the year that Vinny and Maui played, and Tony Kempinski, we had all 3 of them in the band at the same time. There was another a la carte style of harmonies on the vocals, certainly. And so there was a lot of interaction and allowing people to be creative in their own way while we're integrating them into trying to keep the excitement on stage. Yeah. And never forgetting, as you're a real disciple of this, that people show up here to dance. They came here, they paid money to dance first. That's right. After that, have some fun. That's right. With that. But our first recording, you had played it tonight, the Devil. That was the very first thing we recorded. And being the cautious and obedient Roman Catholic kid, I got a copy of that record after we did it. Gary Remy put it on a reel-to-reel. I sent a nice letter to Charlie Daniels saying, Dear Mr. Daniels, we've recorded The Devil Went Down to Georgia as a polka. And as a polka, it may sound a little different because we don't have a violin in the band. We featured a concertina. Mm-hmm. Mr. Daniels did not respond to us from that letter, but we got a very sternly worded letter from his law firm. Oh, boy. Who said, well, Mr. Benkowski, we reviewed the tape, and it turns out that is a bastardization of the original tune. Oh, so we cannot tell you. We can tell you you cannot sell it, but you can let it out for airplay and let it be played on the air. So that's how that tune was carved out of the album, put on a 45, a nice 45 with some very specific directions underlined. It says not for resale. And that's that was at the request of the lawyer. Yeah. You have to put on the label, not for resale. So, right. But we played it out, and we got a lot of good reception playing that song out, because at the time it was kind of a unique thing to do. And Brian always did a good job on the vocals, and we had 2 different endings. We had the ending that was on the recording, the Son of a Gun ending, but then we also had the Polkas After Dark ending. That one time up in, I believe it was Rochester, New York, and Brian would always look at me and ask for a nod, yay or nay. Yeah. It was after midnight. We were doing an encore after midnight, but it was an outside fair. And I gave him a nod. Yeah, go ahead. It's after midnight. There's no kids left. Yeah. Well, we were also informed that was the last time that we will play that job. Oh, are you serious? Oh, geez, a whiz. So even after midnight, even polkas after dark can't stray a little bit.
Oh, that is hilarious. So, you know, you have performed with some great musicians throughout your whole career. And I want to now let's discuss a little bit about Mr. Stephen Kaminsky, because Stephen put out some very creative stuff. You recorded on the Divas recording with the Gals. And tell us a little bit about what that was all about and what it was like to do that in the studio.
That was one of the most interesting projects I had been involved in. That was the only project that I had been, in a lot of ways, you know, produced with somebody looking out for how everything fit into the song.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember calling Bobby Calvert on my way home. It was a 2-day recording session in New Jersey. And I called Bobby and I said, Bobby, I think I just played in an orchestra. Because
Wow.
Stephen wrote the music all out to the rest of the band, and it felt like it was a big band orchestra sounding, you know, with the horns and what other instruments were doing. And, you know, God bless my concertina instructor, Mr. Adam Wisniewski. He was teaching me to play the concertina, but he was teaching me to play just music on the concertina. And I thought, you know, Adam, this one was for you. This was real music. This would have been real music on your terms, you know, with that. I mean, he would give me songs when I was in 8th grade that were like from Thoroughly Modern Millie, Under the Double Eagle. He thought polkas were nice. If you wanted to play them, go ahead. They're pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
But you're learning how to play music, and I was always grateful to him for that. And recording with Stephen Kaminsky took me back to that moment in time when I was playing the highest level of music. You know, not that polkas, you know, take a back seat to anything or anybody and how you create, but it was just different. And, you know, you probably understand. I know, you know, Bobby would understand. It was just different sounding and a different feel.
Yeah.
And Steve coached me for 2 days and extracted some things from me that I didn't have in my head. You know, we talked about how you think of a tune or think of where it's going to go, like Sea Cruise. When like how do you make Sea Cruise? How do you create a little bit in something that's a staple? Well, there were things that when that recording was done, I had no idea that I was going to drop those notes on that the way it happened, and I'm very proud of it. I'm thankful to Stephen for extracting that, getting me back to my roots and helping me through the process.
Wow. Now, and also we've got Debbie Rymanowski and the captain from Haruku's Hellraisers. He's tuned in. So they all say hello and send a big shout out to Rich.
Oh boy, there's been some great evenings in upstate New York. My goodness.
Yeah, watch what you say. We don't want to get bleeped off the air.
Yeah, well, you know how that works. If you're not playing in upstate New York, but you're driving home from Massachusetts, you know there's a stop in there somewhere.
Oh yes, yes, co-host, there is a stop for sure. Geez, a whiz.
Yep.
You know, that's totally amazing. Hey, we also have Jeff Yash on with us, and also Jill Cherniak is saying hello and a happy Tuesday to everybody. You know, Rich, I'm gonna say something to you, and I don't want to embarrass you, but you have heard so many concertina players, and they play some really nice stuff, and they play some really fantastic runs. But do you realize that you kind of started that? You opened the floodgates with the way you play concertina, with all of the runs and everything. And you don't just do them, you do them very tastefully. I mean, everything kind of fits into a slot. Did you ever imagine that you would be the creator of something like that?
No, and I wouldn't imagine that somebody would be so gracious and eloquent in describing it that way. So I appreciate your thoughts. on that. There's very kind words.
Yeah.
But I also, my musically, the person that I felt released the creativity was Bill Supta. When I heard,
okay.
The first time I heard Helena Polka, we were playing, Dave and Jan and I were playing the Fallowfield Township Fire Hall. We pulled in, Frank Kowalski's show was on. He played Helena Polka and then Pizzicato, and I was frozen in time. They're saying, "Hey, come on, we got to unload. We got to unload." Oh, no, wait, don't turn the car off.
Don't mess don't mess with me.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that, and the first thought in my mind was, "Hey, we're allowed to do that? Wait a minute, we're allowed to play like that?" And that's that's where I pivoted to. You can play every note that's on the page, but if you hear something in your head that you feel like you need to play or want to play, go ahead and play it. And there's good, bad, and indifferent. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does.
Sure.
But Bill Supta never played, I think, the same song in the same way twice in a row in his whole life.
Yeah. Kind of like a Lenny Gomolka on clarinet.
Bingo. It just flowed. So my goal at that young age was if I could play concertina the way Bill plays accordion, that would be a lot of fun. So, but concertina players, all concertina players have that gene in them that the box kind of allows everybody that plays concertina to play their own style. Yeah. And you can recognize it, just like you said, when you hear Lenny's clarinet, immediately that's Lenny.
Yeah.
And there's other players like that on other instruments, but the concertina allows everybody to have their own thought. And a lot of people that play concertina that wasn't their first instrument, their influences from another instrument. But that's what's, getting back to the jam, that's what's fun about the Concertina Jam. Everybody comes in and leaves their music bias at the door. And when we sit down and play concertina polka or circus polka, we're all playing the same melody. I don't know if anybody's playing harmony or not. Same melody, same parts at the same time to celebrate the concertina and what Steve Litwin has brought us together for.
Interesting. Now, you had brought to light and mentioned a gentleman that is residing in Florida, a Dick Yash, who I mentioned is Jeff and Kenny and Cindy's dad. I'm getting a little choked up now because he's on YouTube.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he's actually watching and listening to the interview, Rich, on YouTube. And Richard, thank you so much for, again, I have to agree with Mr. Benkowski. Mr. Yash, thank you for everything that you did for promoting polka music out here on the East Coast. Well, upper East Coast, because now he's down in the lower East Coast, basking in the sun. And probably, let's see, we had 90-degree weather here in Buffalo, so it probably had to have been at least 105, 110 down where he's at. Yep. But, again, it's this show has been amazing to Jerry and I. And you probably heard that last year for 2023, Jerry and I were fortunate enough to bring home the USPA IJDJ of the Year for 2023. And we were fortunate enough to get it again this year for 2024. So, I think we must be doing something right because we've got a great following, great people. I mean, it's crazy. Helena Garbach says she can't wait. She loves Seven Springs and can't wait to be there. And I'm sure she's going to be at the Concertina Jam. Now, tell us, okay, and again, my ADD's kicking in. Tell us, the Concertina Jam actually started in a room, in one of the hotel rooms.
Well, before we move to that, Robin, I just want to say one of the irreducible pieces of what you bring with your show is a genuine curiosity about how things work, a genuine curiosity about what people did, when they did it, why they did it, and that helps the audience. That allows the audience to join you in the journey through it. So
thank you.
You and Jerry to be commended because you always stay with your your stated intent is to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And let's face it, how many dances do you go to? And you and I, for example, how many times have we ever had a chance to have this conversation?
Well, exactly. And I think you and I had the very first conversation when we saw the Beat in Pennsylvania at that picnic grove that Vud and, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember now.
It was the KP picnic grounds.
Yes,
we
exactly.
had we just sat down at the same picnic table and had an unguarded conversation about all things Beaver Valley Polka.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's so much fun for us to be able to do this stuff. And, we're going to keep on doing it until we can't do it anymore. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But for the sake of Junior's heart, I'm going to get back to your question.
Yes, please.
It's going to be Friday, July 4th at noon in the Alpine Room. And it'll go from about noon to 2. There'll be a couple of presentations. It is informal. It is unrehearsed. You can take pictures. You can dance. You can sing along. There's no charge to get in. It is just a warm-up in the afternoon before the bands get cranking in the ballroom later that day. And Steve Litwin, I remember in 1984, there was just kind of, Butch Herman said, hey, Steve brought his box. I know you have your box. I brought mine. He wants to get together and have a little jam. So we just went to Steve's room, and we did it for a few years in Steve's room, but it did grow to where there were 10 boxes, then 20 boxes, and then it spilled out into the hallway. Then Eddie Blazonczyk showed up one year and waded through the people in the hallway, walked into the room and says, you guys are going to break the floor. We're going to put you in the bigger room next year.
Wow.
So then Eddie Sr. was gracious enough to make space because he saw there that people were just enjoying and having fun. That it really became a fabric of the festival with the, Blazonczyk family supporting it and allowing Steve, to let it grow and for people just to hear, the concertina stories and, horn players came in, people sang. It just grew into a very, very, very pleasing environment.
Yeah, hear. Hey, Chris Ebel from Minnesota, he is saying, great interview. Rich is one of my idols for playing box, an absolute animal. And he said both he and his dad modeled their bellow shakes after you, Rich. And again, you listen to different concertina players. Jerry Darlak had like a pop almost, or a punching pop when he played with Blazonczyk. Dave Morris is the only one that I really know that I have seen play, and I love watching him play because he does that exact same thing, that pop shake. And then you've got guys like yourself that, do the 3-finger, the 4-finger pushing on the box, Scrubby, Paul Fadala. I mean, come on. Paul Fadala was a genius. He mastered the concertina. I don't know if he locked himself in a bedroom with just food and drinks and a little place, a little garbage can to do whatever he had to do. But, he was another guy that's so creative and unfortunately taken from us way too soon. But, all of these guys, well, let me ask you, who influenced you? Who was your biggest influence to be playing concertina the way you do? I mean, you had to have seen. You said Zupta. Bill Zupta was, what kind of got you thinking about how to do this stuff on concertina that he did on accordion. But who did you actually idolize growing up?
Well, Zupta, helped unlock the gate to walk through and play as creatively as you felt like.
Yeah.
But then it was Scrubby. early on, I got to see Scrubby, and Scrubby had a full shake. When you talk about the pop shake, if you have an accordion in the band, you can do the pop shake because it's a nice offbeat rhythm.
Right.
If there's no accordion in the band, then you better get all fingers to the floor, and you better start rapping that keyboard.
Yeah.
At least 3 or 4 fingers to do a shake, or it's going to sound like, hey, that band needs an accordion. That guy can't even shake. So Scrubby was another one that had that strong shake.
Yes, amen to that.
Wally Medusa had a strong, right hand shake before they had an accordion in the versatones. So, to me, the line on the shake is kind of drawn between, without an accordion, you need better shake with at least 3 fingers. With an accordion, you can do the pop shake, and you're kind of accenting his full shake.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Do you have a personal favorite genre of music that you like to listen to when you're not listening to polkas?
Probably the most vinyl albums that I had at home in number would have been Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Ooh. You're about the third or fourth person that I've talked to on an interview that brings that band up. And that's amazing stuff.
Yeah, only because, but look at the similarities. Happy music, a lot of brass, driving beat, so it's kind of a parallel universe with, the driving sound, the other, we brought up Bill Souped Up, but then the new brass and the golden brass, that drive, that push, that full throttle. Roger Lickwalla was full throttle on every song. And not everybody can do that.
Yep.
Not everybody can make it sound, as energetic on every song. So the Tijuana Brass, to me, were kind of that other style of music that had some songs that had the energy.
Yeah. Do you have a most memorable gig that you've played throughout your life? One in particular that kind of sticks in your mind and you say, boy, I can't believe either I played that way, meaning, very tastefully, very well, or, there was a huge crowd in front of the band, which there always was with TBC, no matter what generation of the band there was. But do you have a most memorable gig that you played that you remember?
Well, for me, the memorable gigs, and you, I'll tell you mine, you tell me yours. But as you're growing up, as a young musician, you see and you notice things where bands are playing.
Yeah.
So, when we started playing, wow, if we could just play Idora Park, then it was wow.
Right.
If we could just play Polkabration.
Yeah.
Till you get there and you find out it's on the second floor and you think, oh, come on, are you kidding me? IPA, first time we played IPA with Bruno, oh my God, that was still in Milwaukee. So there were certain thresholds or goals that you had as a musician that when you met them, they became also memorable jobs. But, there were just, quite a few there. And you mentioned playing in Frankenmuth with Freeze Dried.
Yeah.
That era there with me was one of the most exciting for me in recent years because there was a lot of energy on that stage too.
Yeah.
With that band, and it was, to me, Freeze Dried helped me finish what I thought we started with TBC. We tried to push the margins, as far as we could. But then we in '87, I kind of ran out of ideas. I was satisfied with what we did, able to just, walk away with no regrets. And playing on the stage with Freeze Dried, I was poor Calvert, he gets those phone calls. He gets those philosophical phone calls from me. After the first time with Freeze Dried, I called Bob and said, Bob, our work is done. We can rest easy now. Because anything that we thought we needed to think of, they just thought of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So stuff like that. So what was your favorite?
You know, I have a couple, but I really have to say the one that mesmerized my mind was playing at Seven Springs. I mean, in front of all of the people with the sounds. And there was another time playing with the sounds. I mean, Dynatones, I loved working with those guys, but
Yeah.
with the sounds, there's another one that really impacted my life. And that's when we were playing on stage, and the girls of the band members, the girls were walking towards the band, bringing helium-filled balloons. That was when the polka music that sounds good came out. And, you know, to see these balloons coming at you with all these people, I mean, talk about a rush. Not only was it great, you know, we were playing, we were having a great time, but these people standing in front of the band with helium-filled balloons. And again, that's just my own personal take on that. And when Jerry interviewed me in, last year, December, around New Year's Eve, you know, that was one of the biggest memories that I had had. But Seven Springs, I loved Seven Springs with any band that I worked with. The Trolltones, the Sounds, Dynatones. It just, you know, it's the charisma of the people. And you know what I'm going to say right now. You play, you're feeding off the people. Well, it also goes in reverse of that because the people are feeding off the energy of the band. And that's what really creates a nice atmosphere, so to speak.
Right. And we both enjoyed some years at Seven Springs where the crowds were overflowing. They were all responsive to the bands. And especially when you're in that front ballroom, the crowd is standing right there. You could reach down and shake hands with people. You could, you know, look at them in the eye when they're singing along with the band.
Yep.
That also helps. You're certainly right about that. That it's a two-way exchange of energy.
Now, you and I, Rich, also touched briefly on this. Do you remember back in the days when Seven Springs was like the top notch? You'd walk into that hall. You'd be walking down the hallway, okay? And you'd turn, you'd pay your admission, and you'd walk in that hall, and there would be wall-to-wall people. Now, when they had the second room open, you would walk in that little hallway, which was actually pretty big, but you'd walk through that little hallway and you couldn't move because it was packed with wall-to-wall people.
I'm willing to bet that if you had just lifted your legs, they would have just carried you into the next room. It was so tight.
But am I right or am I wrong?
Oh, no question about it.
Yeah.
No question about it. Those are some great memories you bring up.
We've got some great musicians here from the Pennsylvania area, too. Mr. Bernie Kozlowski is here with us. Of course, he's living out in Minnesota. We also have, let's see here, Ray Yaroshinsky is here. And let's see, we've got some great folks here during this interview. You know, I really didn't mean to keep you this long. I told you that, hey, we're going to talk for about a half an hour, maybe a little longer. It's already 7:45. and you know, Rich, we could probably talk for another 3 or 4 hours and not repeat the same story twice.
I hear you, but I would just like to take a minute. I've been watching what you're scrolling to while we're talking, and I want to thank Kristen, my daughter, for her efforts in putting some things together, and of course Les Kapuscinski. Brother, can't wait to see you again. We miss you guys, and it was very gracious of him to offer, you know, some of the nice pictures, which are the memories. That's very nice.
That's what we always say. Les takes memories. He doesn't take photographs or pictures. Yeah. You know, Jerry and I talk about that all the time. But yes, and you know, it's funny because he was sending me stuff today, and he said, well, you know, I know you're interviewing him today, and I know this is last minute. And Les is like the big Superman. If he opens up his shirt, he's got a big S on
Every time.
on his chest, because he's right there for us, for Jerry and I.
That's
I
right.
mean, anytime, boom. And he started that back during COVID. He said, hey, you guys, do you need some pictures for stuff? And we said, yeah, send us some pictures of USPA and stuff like that. And that's how we became very, very good friends. And he, when we won last year and we won this year, we had to acknowledge Les, because he comes to our rescue for every interview that we have had. And we can't thank him enough for all of this stuff that he does.
I just saw a picture of my day job flash by.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, we have a whole bunch of stuff like that. And, that was, tell us a little bit about what you used to do before you retired, you loser. I wish I could retire.
I was very fortunate to have a great career in the pipe fitting industry. I worked for mechanical contractors. I was a member of the United Association. And for the last 15 or almost 20 years, I spent supporting the programs nationwide for the UA, developing HVAC training programs, working with manufacturers to make sure we knew everything Carrier was coming out with, or Daikin. And, as far as that goes, if you see a Carrier truck, that's our guy. That's our United Association members that we have trained.
Is that right?
To work on the big chillers and the big units. So I had a very nice career doing that and developing the training, and also working at a national level on water quality, air quality. So that was a lot of fun, but that did occupy a lot of my time in the last 10 years. And but I'm grateful for the experience. You always see, if you're patient enough, you always see that you're somewhere until you learn what God needs you to learn, and then you're somewhere else. And then sometimes you end up thinking, gosh, everything I did in the last 20 years is helping me do the right thing at the right time for the right reason right now.
Amen to that.
It is divine providence of, just keeping the faith and allowing yourself to follow God's lead, because it leads you to a wonderful life.
Rich, I think that's the best place to end this conversation. I couldn't have said it better. But no, I can't end that, because there is 2 more questions that I ask everybody. And I'm sure with all the traveling that you did, and you probably know this question, do you have a favorite breakdown story? You guys were going to a gig, coming home from a gig, you broke down. It could have been in the summer, it could have been in the wintertime. Do you have a favorite? And trust me, I know you've had a breakdown somewhere.
Oh, we've had breakdown stories. I'm not going to call them my favorites, because in there is always a struggle, and God bless my wife Barbara, because there were times where she jumped in when we had to leave the trailer, or we had to somebody had to take the truck or do this. She was my partner in crime on the operations side of the band.
Nice.
She was my partner in crime in keeping the band on the road. So yes, when we were on our way to Polka Motion, we lost a spring on the trailer in Breezewood. Got stuck there one night on the way back from one of the New York jobs. We lost the wiring and the headlights at 3 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So, but I guess there is one favorite. It wasn't a breakdown, but when we had just bought a new truck, it was a 480 extended body Ford. And Bobby will remember this, because he was one of the, I think he may have been driving at the time that the state trooper got our attention. But we played in Toledo on a Saturday night, and then we played for Father Larry McCarthy in Reading on a Sunday afternoon. We made it in record time. It's one of those things where you fall asleep and you wake up and it's like, we're an hour away from Reading. What the hell happened? So, but when Bobby was questioned, Bobby said, "Well, officer, think I was doing 55 or 60." He said, "No, you weren't. You were doing 90."
No.
It was a brand new truck, and the speedometer was out of calibration.
Oh, wow. So that may have
we
saved
said,
him.
We just picked the truck up this week. Oh, sure you did, So he said, "All right, I'll give you 24 hours. You take it to, a certified
Right.
shop, and you bring me the speedometer report."
Yeah, the
so
calibration.
we did, but, Albert was just moving along Pennsylvania Turnpike, middle of the night. But man,
Wow.
I'm pretty sure if you ask Bobby, and he could probably type it in, whether or not anybody passed us between Toledo and Reading.
Well, he's on YouTube right now, so I'm sure he's going to be lighting up the board here in just a second.
Well, yeah, Bobby, if you need to correct me, just type it in. Let Robin know if anything was overstated. But it was a quick trip.
Wow. And also, my final question to you is, Rich, with your technical background in music and your creativity, if somebody wanted to either start their own band, play an instrument with a band, if they wanted to be a vocalist or just a front man or front gal, for that fact, what advice would Rich Benkowski give to that person wanting to be a musician? Hold on a second. Hang on. What?
Bobby said nobody passed us. Okay, now you can finish your question. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. We knew he was still listening and gonna chime in there. Nobody passed us at 90. Jeez. Okay, so what advice would you give to that person, Rich?
Well, sitting here with no regrets about what we played, how we played it, what I did personally, musically, whether I was, in the schedule playing or disappeared for a few years, I would encourage somebody to play the music that pleases them. That being yourself is good enough. If you pick up an instrument and you play, then just be Robin, just be Rich. Allow yourself that. And will you get criticized? Absolutely. Somebody will say, well, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you play like this guy plays?" You're just playing for other musicians. No, we're playing, whether there's 15 people, and I learned this from Mitch and Roger. It doesn't matter whether there's 10 people in the hall when you're setting up or 1,000 people. You still put on your band shirt and you still go out there and you play every job like there's 1,000 people. Because those 10 people, it means something to those 10 people that showed up and paid. So I would encourage a musician to be very diligent about playing what you enjoy playing, so that later on, and this is nothing against Little Wally or Pukayashu, but I played Pukayashu enough times in the early days. I didn't need to play it, for 30 or 40 years.
Right.
But it was my choice. For bands that want to play Pukayashu, God bless them. Robin, this is not about anybody picking a better song, playing a better song. It's play something that you enjoy playing on that instrument, and play it well enough that you're doing justice to the instrument.
Yes. And
that makes sense.
Oh, it sure
Absolutely.
does. And Blazonczyk told me this 100 years ago, and I laugh about this all the time. He said, if you write a song or you play a song, and at the end of the night the band is done and people are singing that song, walking to their hotel rooms in the hallway, you've done something right.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. It really does.
Sure, exactly. And Eddie was very successful in doing that, because not only were people singing it on the way to the hotel rooms, how many of us young musicians got that Eddie album and started playing those songs?
That's
we
right.
went out and played those tunes because we enjoyed them that much. Well, let's play Angela I'd Be Mine. let's play Sea Cruise, you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there was a lot of, there's two levels to that. First, the crowd engages, they dance, but then you have other musicians go out and perpetrate your vision of what a song could be.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, good call. Hey, Rich, I can't thank you enough. Please give Barb a hug and a squeeze from me. Thank her very much for allowing us to steal you for the last, it's 8 o'clock. We came on at 6:30. But, buy her dinner or something, or a box of chocolates, and send us the bill, why don't you? But again,
we'll look forward to seeing you both again.
Yeah.
And thank you for the opportunity to have a conversation. And it was great fun for Robin and Jerry. Thank you both for your efforts week after week, because you guys do cover a lot of ground. There's just so much information when you look back at some of those shows. It's like, hey, I remember that guy. I remember he did this. I remember he did that. So keep up the good work. And your efforts are appreciated by a lot of people.
And the best part is your interview, as well as others, are available on YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All you've got to do is go to YouTube, type in Polkas After Dark. When you get there, just type in the person's name, or you can just type in interview and scroll through and tap on whoever you want to listen to. Now, before we go, and again, I got to thank you ever so much for doing this. I love you, buddy. You've got a very special place in my heart. You know that, Rich. But we are going to play the Seven Springs promo that Mr. Tony Blazonczak has, because they need to hear this a little bit more. So stay with us for a couple more seconds here.
The #1 polka party, 50 years and counting. That's right, we're celebrating 50 years at the Polka Fireworks at the Seven Springs Mountain Resort. Make plans today to join us July 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th with this year's musical entertainment by Lenny Gomolka and the Chicago Push, Frankie Lishka's Blue Magic, The Beat, Buffalo's Concertina All-Stars, the Dynabrass, Crusade, John Gura, Larry Trojak's Live It Up, the Maestro Men, the Polka Family, and also Ryan Joseph from Nashville and his All-Star Jam Band. There's going to be the Litwin Concertina Jam, volleyball tournament. So don't wait. Make your room reservations today by calling the Seven Springs at 855-947-0438. And don't forget to ask about the Polka Fireworks room rate. You can give Bel Air a call at 708-594-5182. Make plans today to join us for the 50th anniversary of the Polka Fireworks, taking place at the Seven Springs Mountain Resort.
Wow. Okay, Rich, you are back with us, but we had to make sure that folks hear that, because especially you're hosting the Litwin Jam, and that's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. As a matter of fact, I hope people take pictures.
Well, I know if Les is going to be there, there will be more pictures.
There you go. Hey, again, thank you ever so much for joining us, taking time out of your Tuesday evening. And again, I mean this in all sincerity. Thank you to Kristen for getting a couple of photos to us, Les Kapuscinski for getting some photos to us as well. And we, of course, stole a whole bunch off of Bobby Calvert's page. But he doesn't need to know that right now. He'll catch that. He'll catch that in the rerun. But again, thanks so much. Have yourself a great week, sir. And just keep doing what you're doing, because it's a lot of fun. That's all I can say.
It is. Well, thank you both again for the opportunity, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, you will. Thanks so much. Hey, folks, unbelievable there. That is Mr. Rich Benkowski. Hey, here's the Brass Connection, a little bit of Off to War polka. We're going to stick around maybe for another 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to call it quits for the evening. Thanks for joining us.
Hej, 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 ułani, malowane dzieci. Niejedna panienka za wami poleci. Niejedna panienka za wami poleci.
Wow, what a sound, what a band. TBC, the original Brass Connection. Hey, we've got some more tunes that we're going to be playing for you for the next couple of minutes. We're not going to be talking anymore. We're just going to be playing some music. I want to say hi to Mr. Andy Lishka. He's here. Dave Liskevich is here. Pete Skovran. Joe Shipta, hello to you. Pat Leckie, Fran Rosanna. Just a whole bunch of great folks here. Carol Barron is here. Also, Sue Madashevich.
Mr. Les Kapuscinski is here with us, and he said, Robin and Jerry, what a great interview of an outstanding talent, gentleman, and friend. You were right that this interview could have gone on a few more hours and still not touched on everything.
Easily.
And I agree with that, Les. That was
Easily.
That was a wonderful, wonderful interview.
And Les could have probably sent us at least another 100 photos during the course of that, but I wasn't able to manipulate them and grab them that quick. And again, thanks, Les, for all you do for not only polka music and all the bands, but for Jerry and I. We can't thank you enough. Hey, here's a tune also by the Brass Connection, because that's kind of what we've been featuring tonight, is TBC. We've got Freeze Dried, we've got Bruno Mikos, but here's one called Got No Reason.
Once I had every reason a man could want for going home and making love, but now I don't. So I end up in here each night sitting and thinking, missing her, hurting so and drinking. I got no reason now for going home. All my reasons now are gone. Got no one there to talk to, and even though I know I ought to, got no reason now for going home. Got no reason now for going home. All my reasons now are gone. Got no one there to talk to, and even though I know I ought to, got no reason now for going home. It's so hard now just knowing there's another. She's out with him knowing that I love her. So I end up in here each night sitting and thinking, missing her, hating him and drinking. Got no reason now for going home. All my reasons now are gone. Got no one there to talk to, and even though I know I ought to, got no reason now for going home.
Yes, sirree, that's the Brass Connection from earlier days. And Jerry, you know, there's a lot of things going on. You've got Frankenmuth, you've got Seven Springs, Zabava. Well, why don't you tell them what our favorite event
One of our favorites
one of
is
our
the
favorites.
Buffalo Polka Booster 55th Annual Summer Picnic being held at Clocks Grove this year. 1245 Seneca Creek.
Senny Creek.
Seneca Creek
That's right over by
Road,
Seneca Creek Road, I think.
West
Senny Creek and Seneca
New
Creek.
York.
Try that again.
Okay. Buffalo Polka Boosters 55th Annual Summer Picnic will be held this year at Clocks Grove, 1245 Seneca Creek Road, West Seneca, New York, 14224 on Sunday, July 13th, 2025 from 2 until 7 p.m.
2.
Music will be provided by none other than Seven. Members are $35, guests are $40, and children up to the age of 12 are free. Ticket price includes music, food, beer, soda, and water. Food will be served from 3 until 6 p.m. Hamburgers, hot dogs, Italian sausage with peppers and onion, watermelon, chef salad, and homemade macaroni salad. Pre-sale
gonna have
tickets
beer.
only. Yes, beer.
Okay.
Big beers.
Big beers.
I don't know how big they are, but they're beer.
No, they're beers. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter how big they are.
the size.
You can take that little cup up 50 times if you have to.
They'll insert
Hopefully
an
not.
IV into you, and that'll be fine. It'll be
Pre-sale tickets only. Limited amount of tickets are available. No tickets will be sold after June 30th. That date is coming up quick.
Hello.
Make sure you give Chris Tansky a call at 716-771-1076 or Tom Golden a call at 716-395-3110. There's also a cash bar available if you're not into the beer, and no tickets will be sold at the door. Absolutely no tickets will be sold at the door. No exceptions.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is
Back to
true.
you.
Yeah. Now back to us, and here we are, the two of us, just the two of us. Hey, how about an instrumental? We haven't done an instrumental since Sea Cruise. Let's do Eddie's polka.
It's time to make plans for the Summer Music Fest in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Join us August 6th through the 9th for Summer Music Fest 2025. 4 days with some of the nation's most popular polka bands, including Polka Family, Frankie Lischka and Blue Magic, polka country musicians, Lenny Gomulka and the Chicago Push, New Brass Express, Stephanie, America's Polka Sweetheart, Dennis Polisky and the Maestro's Men, John Gura and Gorali, Buffalo's Concertina All-Stars, Michael Costa and the Beat, Jimmy Weber and the Sounds, and the Dynaverse Stick Tonaires, held in the huge 28,000 square foot Harvey Kern Pavilion with the biggest dance floor around. Music, drinks, food, friends, and fun are all part of Frankenmuth, Michigan's #1 tourist attraction and one of the nation's premier polka events, the Summer Music Fest. For all the information, go to frankenmuthfestivals.com or call us at 1-800-FUN-FEST. The Summer Music Fest in Frankenmuth, Michigan, August 6th through the 9th. The Summer Music Fest is brought to you in part by Drury Hotels and Fabiano Brothers.
On Memorial Day weekend of 2024, Robin and Jerry Pegg attended the United States Polka Association Convention and Festival in Cleveland, Ohio. On the morning of the 25th, at the banquet, they were presented the IJDJ of the Year Award for 2023. This is a very prestigious award given to IJs and DJs who promote polka music as well as the bands who perform it.
And on May 24th of 2025, they were again honored at the banquet as being the IJDJs of the Year for 2024 by the USPA.
These kids love to support the music and entertain their viewing and listening audiences all across the globe every Saturday night for 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time and Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. All broadcasts are live from their home studios.
On their Sunday broadcasts, they get to interview well-known band leaders and musicians from all over the U.S. and Canada. Now sit back and watch, relax and listen, or dance around the house, garage, pool, or wherever you're tuning in from as Rob and Jerry are here with Polkas After Dark once more as...
It's another live broadcast special edition with Polkas After Dark. And now your hosts, your United States Polka Association Award, winning IJs, DJs of the Year, for 2 consecutive years, 2023 and 2024, here's Rob and Jerry.
This is where the crazy people meet on the weekends to have fun. And if you're crazy just like us, then you've come to the right place. You're watching Polkas After Dark live on YouTube.com.
Grać, jest życie moje, ludziom śpiewać. Nie mogę ja już z tobą zostać, na całym świecie ciebie kochać. Bez ciebie, piękna dziewczyno, smutne mam słowa, mój jedyno. Muszę ja dzisiaj z tobą pożegnać, muszę od ciebie dziś podjeżdżać. Wszystkie stany mnie tam wołają, muszę ja jechać, że tańcują. Życie pomyślałem od ciebie, zaśpiewam smutne wierszek sobie.
Hey folks, once again, we thank you ever so much for putting us on. We will not be here Saturday or Sunday, but you're going to be able to catch this rebroadcast on Saturday. Hey kids, looking for something to do on the weekend? Well, look no further. Join Jerry and I on Polkas After Dark on YouTube.com every Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. and Sundays from 5 to 7 right here. This is where the crazy people meet on the weekend to have fun, and if you're crazy just like us, then you've come to the right place. Polkas After Dark, YouTube.com.